to touch on a few things tonight that I've been pondering recently. Who watched Amazing Polly's recent video? Does everybody know about Amazing Polly? Or The Amazing Polly? She's in Canada, and she's wonderful. She's just very good. I don't listen to all of her stuff, but people post her videos occasionally, and I will watch them from time to time. The most recent video of hers I watched, which I don't know if I would recommend that you watch it or not. Depends on what you're into. But so I learned something new. Apparently there was a phenomenon in post-World War II Soviet Union where political dissent was handled via a psychiatric diagnosis called sluggish schizophrenia. So I learned this from Amazing Polly's video. I don't know if it was her most recent video, but I think it was pretty recent. Sluggish schizophrenia. And I don't even know what it means. I can't imagine what it means. What could that possibly mean? Let me know what you think sluggish schizophrenia could possibly mean, because I didn't look it up, but I can't. My mind is not populating an image of what that might mean. But I do know that it was used to quiet people who were going against the narrative and call them out as Looney Tunes and send them off to the loony bin where they won't cause any more trouble. Essentially a communist tactic, right? So I was unaware of that particular thing, but apparently Canada is implementing the same thing, except they're calling it the diagnosis that Canada's medical establishment is apparently going to be able to use on people saying wrong things, people engaging in wrong think. They will be able to be labeled as bizarre delusionals, which means they're believing in ridiculous things that don't exist. Something along those lines. So it's a medical diagnosis. It's a psychiatric diagnosis to be bizarrely delusional. And if you're not interested, if you are hocus pocus hesitant, then because you're believing in something that is not possible, because you're believing in something that's not possible, people are just stopped right in the middle of the street. Then, oh, it's just an accident right here. Yeah, because you're believing in something that's not possible, you are now diagnosed as bizarrely delusional. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily carrying the same repercussions as the sluggish schizophrenia diagnosis. I imagine that's what the parasites would like it to get to, but I don't know for sure yet the weight of all of this. But it's pretty clear where the pharma, the medical establishment, and so on are trying to push things. So let me know what you think about that. That accident happened like literally 5 seconds in front of me. I had to slam on my brakes pretty good. That was the first thing. Second thing, I wanted to clarify my thoughts on duality. I don't think I've actually made that many videos on my concept of duality. As far as I know, the traditional concept, when viewed through the Buddhist or the Advaita lens, is that the physical world that we incarnate into is dualistic in nature. And it's essentially, it can be viewed as a fall or the fall into distortion. And when we're done having fun on the wheel, on the mortal coil, eventually we will remove or back up out of or ascend from the physical dimension back into the void or the Godhead or the 0 point. That's the traditional conception that I'm aware of. I wanted to clarify a little bit how I actually view it and experience it. I view it also. So in terms of goals, if you are a sannyasin, if you're a devotee of the self, the beloved, that which is opposed by the ego self. Traditionally, if you are to aspire to something by being a devotee, you're aspiring to relinquish all holds of the ego, all mental aberrations, fantasies, desires. You are to relinquish or dissolve all of that, every last shred. And eventually, once all of those bonds have been dissolved, you are reunited with the pure. And the body dissolves and the world dissolves with it, and you return to the land and the realm of pure consciousness rather than the sort of tainted avatar 3D physical experience. That's my understanding of the traditional view of Eastern mysticism. Although, for the most part, the gurus and the masters admit that it's essentially a double bind that you can't get out of, because for something to be a goal, it means that you must want it, you must desire it. So to achieve liberation, you need to desire liberation, and in order to desire liberation, you need to desire. So liberation means having no desires, so you get into the double bind and the infinite regress of needing to drop desire, and then you're to I need and want to drop desire, and it's just infinite regress. So it's not a double bind, it's an infinite bind. And the whole movement ends up looking a little bit silly. And once you grasp what they're actually saying, you see that they are, all of them, essentially what Alan Watts claimed that he was, which was a spiritual entertainer. Spiritual entertainment. So I thought I would modify the lens through which you can view the dualism, to make it maybe a little bit more palatable. And so instead of characterizing it as the world is dualistic, and it's a trap that you can fall into as a higher dimensional being, and you can get stuck here, and you have to try to ascend out of it. But by desiring to ascend out of it, you're breaking the first rule of ascending, which is dropping all desires. Instead of mentally straining toward that impossible to achieve goal, you can look at it in a different way, which holds dualistic being as the matter of fact of your life, rather than something that you accidentally got mixed up with, as Alan would say, something you got entangled with. So instead of looking at it as you're in prison and you need to somehow escape, you can look at it as the main dualistic thing that is occurring is yourself, your physical incarnative experience, opposed by the 0 point. And that makes up one set of opposites, or set of polarities, which intrinsically need each other to exist. So you could see the avatar, the body-mind complex, the physical self as the ego, as composed of varying levels of ego. There is the more pure ego, which is more spiritually refined, which doesn't worry as much, which is more surrendering. And then there's, of course, the desiring ego, which gets us into trouble. And then that whole, I'm including in the definition of ego or physical experience, I'm including the whole world. So all of the people you see, the land, the environment, all of everything that your senses can comprehend, that's the ego self. And you don't have to look at it necessarily as a fall or the fall. It's just physical experience. And then that is opposed by the 0 point or the void. And the 0 point and or the void is not somewhere away from the physical reality. It is also in it and seen from it. It's not something you can achieve or ascend to. It's just something that you can notice. So if you're like, I'm sitting here driving my car, and if I remember to think about the 0 point, then I can feel it. It's the opposite of the physical experience. Or you can look at it as the space in which physical experience is unfolding. And likewise, if you're looking at reality from the perspective of the 0 point, or the void, the infinite void, then being in that seat allows you to perceive the physical world. Being in the seat of the infinite void allows you to perceive the physical world. And they both need each other. You can't have the physical world without the void, without the unchanging self, and you can't have the unchanging self or the void without the physical world. Those two go hand in hand. And if you want to sort of couch it in Advaita terms, and you want to bring in what do they call it? There's a word. Whatever the word is for beyond dualism. If you want to bring that into it, you can say the self of all selves is neither the physical world nor the void. It's that which is constantly behind everything, the observer essence itself, which has no form whatsoever, which is the actual purest of the pure. And quite possibly you could look at that setup as the Trinity, or a Trinity. The world opposed by the void, which is witnessed by the ultimate self, which has no form whatsoever, leaves no trail, leaves no footprints, leaves no record. I am still offering sessions with me, creative sessions that can help you to examine the unfoldment of your own life through the perspective of the eternal, possibly help balance things out a little bit. So I am still offering those sessions. The work that I'm staying with now is about half day, so I'm usually off around 1 to 2 East Coast time. So if you'd like to book a session with me, just send me an email or leave a comment down below. My email is gapawa1985@gmail.com. And I'm also offering my services as intermediary. I thought it was a good idea to try out. So essentially, if you have some issues with a person that you have trouble connecting with, or if you argue with a certain person all the time, or if you aren't able to see eye to eye with somebody, or if you just haven't talked to your grandma or your dad or your mom in years and years, and you would like to bring that relationship back, then I will offer myself as a third observing party, like a neutral observer party to the conversation. And we can see what type of healing or mending or creative reuniting can happen. So I'm offering that now as well as just the creative sessions. I had a few people interested in the creative sessions, and I'm also still coaching a few students, and I'm doing regular work, and I'm trying to get internet so I can do lives again. And I kind of would like to have all the main people that I've had on multiple times throughout the years, see where everybody's at, like Becky, Lauda, Aurora, Jason, and anybody else. Like, I don't need to only have big names back on, but I would like to just kind of have a recap of what everybody's been up to in the time between where I've been quite active and I have not been super active recently. So those are my goals for now. Reach out to me if you'd like to work with me in any capacity. gapawa P as in Paul, A, WA 1985 at gmail.com. And otherwise, thank you for hanging out. And I will see you in the next one, or sometime down the road. Peace!